All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Thursday Night Hang here on the Coffee and Cigars live stream. I'm Jay, your host, and we're here on the Ono Live channel, and we do this live stream Monday. I mean, most every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern time. So how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Devin, how's it going, man? Good to see you. How are things down in Florida? Hope things are well. And we're here today again. It's actually we've had like relatively chilly weather this week here in Maryland, and chilly and a lot of rain. And then suddenly it was supposed to like be that way from what I noticed on the forecast through Monday. But then this afternoon it kind of cleared up and it was sunny and kind of clear. It's a little bit cloudy now, and it got warm like into the 70s, and now it's getting a little bit cooler. So yeah, kind of interesting. Rusty, how are you, man? Good to see you. How's everything going? I was thinking about heading to New York City because there's this event that's happening on June 17th and 18th called what's it called? Build something, BILD. It's sponsored by maybe Build Expo or something like that, but it's being sponsored by B&H Photo and being held at the Javits Center. It's going to be one of these like creative type of events that I was thinking about going to. Now I'm just trying to debate whether I should go because it's June 17 and 18. And then one of my clients called me today and they're like, can you be available to do training on the 19th? And I was like, of course. But then I was like, darn it. I was thinking about staying through the entire week and coming back on the 19th, which I could because the training's not going to be until the Friday afternoon, the 19th afternoon. So it could be possible, but I think I might just head back then on Thursday, the 18th. So yeah, I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see. Mom is with us. What's going on, Mom? How are you doing? How are things up there in the city? Unless you just came up for the day, says Rusty. I wanted to come up and like stay for a few days and just kind of because there's a couple things I wanted to do besides go to the Build Expo. I also wanted to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Evidently, they've got some works there that was some art there that I would like to go see. And I don't know what else you do in the city. Like maybe go do something else. I don't know. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't know. Got to figure that out. Tony's here. What's going on, Tony, man? How are you doing? Good to see you. So today, what's it? George Shem is with us. George is here. George says, good evening, all. Here for some relaxation and decompressing after an infuriating day since 5:30. Wow. Wow. It's been an infuriating day since 5. So like you must have had like a hell of like crazy like the last 2.5 hours. What is it, like PTA meetings or something? Like end of the year PTA, and like parents are all upset and because it's like, they got to be upset at the end of the year. Year's almost over. What are they worried about? But all right, we're going to make it a relaxing day. So we got some things going on. We got some basic coffee. I decided to go out and try something canned today. I do have some backup coffee just in case the canned coffee really goes south. So we've got some Monster coffee. Why Monster? Because I was at the High's store and I was like looking around and they had Starbucks. I was like, no. And then they had Monster and I was like, no. Well, there's nothing else. So I went to the Aldi. I went to the Lidl before that, and there's no coffee drinks, no canned coffee drinks at Lidl, because I figured it might be a little bit warmer today, and let's get some, something going on with that. So Devin says, sorry to hear that, George. Time to pour double. Yeah, definitely pour double. So I don't know, man. That sucks. So we got, and then today I've got this special cigar that when those of us who have been smoking for quite a while, and that's quite a lot of you guys out there. I started smoking probably in 1994 or so, and one of the big brands that was out there back then in the 90s was a brand called Macanudo. And Macanudo, even in that era, Macanudo was fairly well maligned. Right? Most people that smoke cigars did not smoke Macanudo. If you could get Partagas, if you get La Gloria Cubana, if you could get Arturo Fuente or Pleiades or Cuesta Rey or any of the other brands out there, chances are you did not smoke Macanudo. However, when people were saying, hey, I'm interested in cigars, what should I try? The go-to answer was Macanudo. So we're going to get into Macanudo today because I thought, you know what? Let's do some nostalgia smoking and see if the Macanudo, the classic Macanudo, might suffice for modern times. So we're going to check that out. George says that wasn't going to drink tonight. I changed. Right on, right on, right on, my brother. You go rolling. You go rolling with that. There we go. There we go. All right, so let's have a look at this. We're gonna get to our beverage. I've got it on ice over here. Tonight we've got this Monster Killer Brew triple. What's it called? Triple shot coffee. It's some kind of coffee drink. They had a different one that was like had cream in it. Then I was like, forget it. Then they have flavors. There's like I don't know, salted caramel, chocolate, latte, all this other stuff. But it says here, killer brew, triple shot, killer strength, coffee plus energy with 300 milligrams of caffeine. Okay, that's a bit ridiculous. Why would you put so much caffeine? My brother's a big not the coffee version, but my brother really likes the Monster energy drinks. And honestly, I just don't get it. I don't get why you need to have it energy drinks. It seems a bit superfluous. Rusty's asking how much caffeine and carbs. This is 300 milligrams of caffeine and carbs. Total carbohydrates, 36 grams. Look at that, 36 grams. I don't know if that's good or bad. Does it say total salt? What's it say for total salt? Fats, cholesterol, sodium, total. No, there's no salt in here. Lately, my mom has been like, you want to be careful with your salt intake. So she's all looking at all these bags of like foods, and she's like, you have to stay below 5. You don't want to be below 5. You don't want to be above 5. And I was like, 5? I don't even know what that means. I want it to be tasty. I don't really worry about that. So it says here, Mean Bean. It's a Mean Bean. Oh, this is the brand of it, right? So there's different versions of it, but this is the Mean Bean version. Mean Bean. So I guess it's supposed to be awesome. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Well, probably should have got a clear glass somewhere. Do I have a clear glass? Nope. Nope. No clear glasses here. All right, let's open it up. Exactly. 36 grams for the whole can. 36 grams is of carbs. No, let's see. Oh, yeah, serving size is 1 can. Serving size, 1 can. So there it is. Oh, and it says shake it up. Oh, there is milk in here. Allergen info contains milk. Okay, shake it. Are we really supposed to shake this? Watching your salt? I guess we won't meet up for ramen. Of course we will. I mean, like she's telling me to watch it. I'm watching it. Yeah, I'm watching it. Like we were looking at this one chip thing. I was like, these chips are really great. She's like, but look at it. It has 2 grams more salt than the other one. And I was like, so 7 instead of 5. And I was like, well, that's probably why it tastes better. I will continue to eat it. Again, it's always about moderation, not just like, you don't house the entire bag of chips. You just, eat a few. Right? Okay, so let's open it up. We're going to open it up. Oh, a little bit of explosion. A little bit of foaminess. Look, here's some foaminess. Okay, you can see it's kind of milky. So this is what like real people drink. Oh, it's sweet. Good God. Ah, ah. God, what is with the world? The world is a miserable place. What was that coffee drink we had a few weeks back? God, this is as bad. Ugh. So I said I have my reserve coffee. This is the leftover coffee I brewed from this morning's show. Oh, gosh. This is the Finca Fe y Gracia from Honduras by my friend Mari Portillo. Gracias, Mari. So we're going to use that. Gosh, man. These people out there in the world drinking these like sweet A coffees, like who? All right. That's enough. Wow, that's just brutal. Devin says, George, I wasn't going to drink either, but I poured some Elijah Craig barrel proof B50 B. Is it B524 or 6524? Cheers to you, Devin. Cheers to you. Speaking of drinking, this weekend I was down with George Brightman. Well, we went for Memorial Day. We went down to Andrew's house, and one of the guys, Orlando, brought some tequila. We had this, I don't even know the name of the tequila anymore, but fancy tequilas and Cincoro. And it's interesting. There's this whole world of tequilas, like the Cincoro, as well as the is it Casa Azul, the one that comes in that like I think we drank it on this show, the porcelain like blue bottle, white bottle with blue like designs on it. Casa Azul, I think is what it's called, right? Those are interesting tequilas because that's kind of like the new wave of tequilas, and and this particular one, Cinco, is a more of an añejo style. So it's been in the barrel, so it's a little bit more. It's an amber color, right? It's from the barrel, but they're all sweet, nice tequilas, but sweet. And while I was in Austin, hanging out with Mike Rosales, we were doing. I mentioned this to you guys before. We talked about the ranch water, and he was like, it gave me a rundown in ranch water, but more importantly, he gave me a rundown in like modern tequilas, and like, man, there's some beautiful tequilas out there that are not sweet, and I shot a video of it, and I have to release it, so maybe I'll release it by next weekend, and it'll be a great exploration. It's a great like exploration of tequilas. But I think, as while I enjoyed the Casa Azul when I had it, but now that I've tried these more sophisticated tequilas, I kind of like those a bit more because there's just more character and complexity in the tequila, right? Devin asks, what were you expecting? I know. I should not. I try to have good expectations of people and things. What can you do? What can you do? Ah, nice. He salutes you there, Devin. Excellent. I'm trying to get through this. Craig says you should switch to the reserve. What's going on, Craig? How are you, man? Good to see you. Rusty says, have you ever had the Mr. Brown's coffee in the mini can? I'm not even familiar with that, Mr. In the Asian markets. I don't think I've seen that. I will look for it. I think a lot of the Asian ones, there are certain Asian coffees that are just straight up black that I remember. Again, there's a lot that are sweet. Like back in the 90s when I lived in Hawaii, like they used to have UCC, Ushima Coffee Company, would make this canned Kona. So it was like Kona coffee cold with a little bit of milk and a little bit of sweetener. I used to like that a lot. Like that was the only way that I could drink coffee back then. All right, so let's go. Speaking of coffee, we're going to go to a cigar called the Macanudo Cafe. And this particular cafe, Macanudo, I think the Macanudo Cafe has been around the longest, right? I think this is the original style. I thought it went away for a while because they came out with some new Macanudo. They came out with this blue Macanudo quite a few years ago. Maybe you guys remember that. That I thought was actually pretty good. The Macanudo, maybe they still have a listing for it. Let's see. I'm looking at their website. If you go to macanudo.com, you can see their lineup. Cru Royale. So they came out with a Cru Royale quite a while back. And I tried that, and I thought that was actually pretty good. I always thought these were a little bit benign for me, right? But now, today in modern times, they've got so many. They have a new line called Inspirado, which is a double down on craft and complexity for award-winning blends, perfect for time alone with you and your cigars, what they say. And in that, they've got white, orange, black. I don't know what those mean. Green, red, jamao, whatever that is, jamao, Brazilian shade, and tercio aged. Tercio, 30 Tercio. And then, of course, there are the legacy brands. The legacy brands are the Macanudo Cafe, such as this one, the Maduro. There's a gold label. There is a vintage 2010, vintage Maduro 20. Oh, there used to be a Macanudo vintage years and years ago in the 90s. That was actually a very sought after cigar. Macanudo Estate Reserve, release number one. There's release number two, number three, Cru Royale. Oh, the Cru Royale is part of that. Oh, and there's a Macanudo 1968. I have had that many years ago when I went to the Macanudo, Club Macanudo in New York City. I smoked one of those. That was pretty good. And there's a newer one. Oh, these are M by Macanudo flavored cigars and premium. Forget it. We're not even going to talk about that. But bourbon, honey, Irish cream, coffee, espresso with cream. Forget it. And then there's a line called the Emissary, which is sophisticated smoking experience highlighted by refined European tobacco. Like, does it mean that it's grown in Europe? What does that mean? Anyway, we're smoking the cafe, and that's what we're looking for. So here's the Macanudo Cafe, right? Tony says muscles de It must be something oral in bottles. Oh, muscles de oro in bottles is solid. Nice. I don't know what that is, but so here's the thing. Here's what they say. Behold, the creme de la creme, a masterclass in complexity and consistency and the cigar that made us an icon. Macanudo Cafe has spent decades as one of, if not the best-selling premium cigars of all time. Cafe is distinctive, smooth, and delicious to smoke, garnering numerous 90-plus ratings by industry reviews. The best part? The mellow profile makes it approachable and enjoyable for beginners, and its flavor and complexity yield a premium smoking experience for aficionados, making it the perfect cigar for smoking and sharing with everyone in the group. And evidently, Cigar Aficionado at one time gave a cafe 90 points. They got the little wreath, the Palme d'Or wreaths with a 90 around it. Okay, so let's talk about the blend here. The blend, they say, is the kinetic shade wrapper with a Mexican San Andreas binder, fillers of of Mexican tobacco with Dominican Piloto Cubano tobaccos are in it. Craig says that description is too. I'm just reading it I'm reading from the website to see. We're giving them all that we can. Miscela de Oro. Oh, gotcha. Oh, the coffee. Gotcha. Okay. So they say the body is mellow, tasting notes or sweetness, creamy, nutty, woody. And they say to drink pairings, dark brown ale and coffee. So we've got coffee. Of course, it should be coffee. It says cafe. And I imagine that because like most people are going to be drinking coffee with cream and sugar, this should go somewhat well with that. And actually, this monster, while it is sweet and creamy, and maybe there's just so much sweet. Like, it is so sweet. Good God. Ah. The coffee is not actually offensive. Like, I would expect with this level of, with Monster, a company like Monster, like a brand like Monster, like, wouldn't think they would care about the coffee. But it's actually, I'm expecting to be dirty and harsh and just terrible, disgusting. Like you took Folgers and you brewed Folgers with it. Like, that's what I'm expecting. And this is not that. And I'm very, very surprised. So, sizes of these cigars. They've got size. These guys have got a boat ton of sizes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 21 sizes, 21 vitolas. So miniatures, 3.75 by 24, quart in the aluminum tube, 4.25 by 36, diplomats, petite coronas, Duke of Devon, Hyde Park, Claiborne, Thames, Gigante, Portofino, Prince of Wales, Caviar, Ascot's, Lords, Duke of York, Hampton Court, Crystal, Duke of Windsor, Tudor, Baron de Rothschild, and Prince Philip. God, it's a lot of talking. But this particular cigar is the Duke of Windsor, 6 by 50 Bellicoso with a, Bellicoso pointed torpedo style tip. So now we're gonna get it. Okay, that's it, right? That's it. That's all they said about that. Craig says, I will say with certainty that coffee will go. I hear you, man. I hear you. Okay, so let's open it up here. Now I got this from Cigar International when I was coming back from Connecticut. I stopped by. They were the only retail that I've seen that had this cigar for, and not that I'm really looking, but I just happened to think about it while I was there, and I was like, ooh, ooh. Okay, so here's the thing: Connecticut shade, like this right here. Wow, soup. It feels silky. Well, that's nice. That's a nice silky feeling here. Very light wrapper, comparatively. Let me get my light wrapper and nice construction. Like the construction, I mean, look at there's no veins. It's very pretty. And then let's look at the tip. The tip, ooh, this is nicely done. Like it should be nicely done. These guys have been doing it for the longest time. These guys should be like on the very top of the mountain as far as quality and quality control. Whoops. Devin says, I heard my name in there somewhere. Did I say no? Craig says that is a nice. It is a nice. It's a nice wrapper. I'm pleased. I'm pleasantly surprised with that. All right, let's have some. So light manure, actually, a bit more manure, barnyardy than I would have expected. I'm really expecting. We malign this cigar so heavily in my social circles that you just expect it to be just nothing, like just no nothing, like you wouldn't get anything. But there is a nice barnyard. It's lighter than some of the other cigars, but it's definitely pronounced. Oh, all right, all right. Gotta keep moving. Gotta keep moving on. I'm gonna cut it. So there it is, the cut. Pretty good that time, huh? Hmm. The cold draw, again with a little bit of that like tetra fish food, right here on the tongue. Cool, a little bit of sweetness, but that's pretty much it as far as I'm getting. All right, time for the light. All right, there is. All right, the first couple puffs. Oh, it's already burning pretty deep. Look at that. Does that mean we're going to go on a run? It looks like it's running already. Look at that. The burn is running. That's not a sign of things to come. It has this flavor, a lighter flavor, a lighter tobacco flavor than what we're normally having. Normally we'll have bold, spicy notes, pepper, bread. Yeah, look, it's starting to run. I don't know. The burn is running. Hopefully that's not a bad thing. It is much lighter than the cigars. I'm starting with it much lighter. And I think people talk about taking their Macanudo cafes and having like a morning cigar with coffee. And I can kind of see that. All right, let's taste. Oh man, it's so sweet. Tony says Tatuai, he's having the Tatuai pork tenderloin reissue, and yes, nice, nice. What else is everybody smoking? We want to know. We want to know. George is having the Wiseman Maduro on the back. Back to the wise man. Excellent. So, what libation did you choose? Did you go to the martini? Right. Well, we started running. It does not look like it's carrying forward. I think it's gonna pull itself together. Maybe. So what I'm getting, light tobacco notes. How would I describe those tobacco notes? Man, it's lighter than I'm used to. But familiar. Maybe like a bread. Characters of bread, maybe. It's not bad. So there's moderate fragrance, cold draw, moderate than the cold draw. I would say 7.5 for the fragrance and cold draw. Devin's having the incarcerated Scarfaces from Pravada. Wow, that sounds crazy. Does it have some kind of like, pattern on the wrapper? That would be kind of cool. George says you have vodka tonic and time for the summer. Excellent, excellent. Now I'm starting to get a little bit of stuffiness. I don't know why. All day long I've been fine. I've been outside here all day long. Now I'm stuffy. Craig's having the Partaga Series D #4. Excellent. I'm presuming this is one of your 15-year-old cigars. So the draw is nice. Smoke production is nice. It's smoking wise, it's perfectly fine. I'm just, it's not a wow cigar, right? And I'm saying that despite the fact, with the pre-knowledge that we weren't expecting it to be a wow cigar. If it was a wow cigar, it'd be like totally like a craziness, right? But it's not like that, of course. It's a pleasant smoke. I don't remember how much this cost me. Maybe like $8 or $9 to $10, I think. But like I said, I don't really see these out much. Tony, you don't have these at your store, right? I need to be careful. I've been smoking on it pretty heavily. So on Monday we went. They brought some food from a place called 250 Barbecue down in Washington D.C. And man, the second time I've had the 250 brisket, it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Their sauce, they have, and I like this place. They're one of those places that have one sauce, not a continental selection of sauce, just one sauce, the way they like it. If George has asked me, like, what do you think about it compared to Hill Country? And I was like, it's nice. It's got good texture. In some ways, it's got more moisture than the one that I had most recently at City Market in Luling. But Luling's City Market's sauce is not as assertive on the heat. Like the 250s is assertive on the heat. City Markets is a lot more mellow, a lot more toned down in that respect. Tony says, no, we have one old guy that still buys the original classic Punch series. Oh, nice. I think we're getting cooler again. George, you're getting cooler out there? Well, not that one. We already saw that. Craig says 17 years and smoking. Oh, awesome. Awesome. It's been a while since I've had a Series D number 4. I think I'm going through this pretty fast. I feel like I'm going too fast. So I've been working on this idea of, those of you who watch the morning show will have already seen this, but I've been working on a bandsaw box. So I have this, I went to this thing, the Fine Woodworking New England, a couple weeks ago when we did the live stream where we're trying to burn down the deck, right? And I sat in this session. So at this event, they have all these like, woodworkers who are presenting their certain aspects of the style of woodworking they do. And I think all of them are pretty famous or very well regarded, very well known, except to me. Like, I don't know anyone, like, I don't know anything. So I'm walking around and I'm meeting these people that, evidently are like at the top in their field. Like, they're like the pinnacle of like what they're doing. And as I talk to some of the woodworkers I know here in Baltimore, the last few weeks or whatever, the last few days, and I tell them, oh yeah, I met this person. They're like, whoa, really? That's kind of cool. Is he famous? Like, yeah, he's really well known. Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know that. So there's this session. So they have these different sessions of these presentations, and there was one that I had time to go to called bandsaw boxes, and I was like, bandsaw boxes. And I've seen bandsaw boxes. Some of them are cool, but I think they're kind of dumb. And I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's dumb. Why would I make a box? That seems stupid. They're kind of cool. They have funky shapes and all that. Whatever. But I'll go sit in on it, and because you never know what you're going to learn. And as I'm sitting there waiting for it to start, the presenter comes up, and his name is Michael Cullen, Cullen, and he's going to do a demo on how he makes his bandsaw boxes. And I was like, all right, let's watch. He comes up, he starts. The first thing he says is that, when I first got into woodwork, when I first started doing boxes, when I first got into woodworking, he said, I thought bandsaw boxes were dumb. Maybe he said stupid, but he was like, I thought bandsaw boxes were dumb. And I was like, oh, well, yes, that's me. And he goes on to show how he makes these bandsaw boxes his are relatively unique, where he doesn't do any planning. He does everything just kind of by feel. There's no rulers, there's no measuring, there's none of that. He's like, when you do this, you don't do anything. He says, when I teach my classes for this, I make them put all the rulers away. And you just go by feel. And I was like, wow, you go by feel. What kind of craziness is that? And so he says, you take a chunk of wood and you work from there. George says, it's comfortable out right now. It is comfortable. I'm feeling like maybe I should get me a vest and like, now that I got the sniffles. Rusty says, is the Cafe series the same as the vintage? I seem to remember there was a vintage 1990, vintage 1992. Those were different. Those were very special Macanudo cigars that came in like actual like Spanish cedar boxes. They were really something else from the normal line of Macanudo. And they were actually very sought after back then. I still have a box. I mean, just the empty box, not any cigars of it. So it's a fascinating way. So I'm watching and I'm thinking he's showing us how to do it. He takes a big block of basswood and he like draws these lines, these kind of like organic lines on it. And he's like he draws it like a whole like pattern, right? Like a leafy pattern. And he's like, okay, this line, this outline that I've created is the inside line. So you're gonna cut that on as the inside. But before you cut on the bandsaw, you're gonna take the table and you're gonna tilt it 3 degrees. And you're gonna cut it so that the bevel of the angles will end up like this when you finish cutting it. It's like, oh, okay. So you go in this way and you turn around and you go back in with it. That's how you get your bevel cuts. And then he was like, now what that creates is when you do that. So like, for example, if I did this, right? You create a void, you cut it out like this, right? And this is the piece that comes out. This is the piece that was in between. This is the center. This is the meat, right? And as you can see, it's slightly curved like this, right? So what you do is you mark a line. So what you do is you take the 2 pieces, hold them together, drop this in, and this gets captured, but it drops below the pieces, right? And then you strike a line and then you cut it off. You cut it off, and that's the bottom of your box. And you take that, and when you glue the pieces together, you drop that piece in, and it gets captured, and that creates the bottom. I'm like, wow, that's pretty interesting, right? And then you do the same thing with the top. You take the top and you cut it off here, and you glue that to the top of your box. And so you've created a form-fitting lid and a bottom with very little work and no measuring. And I was like, huh. So I've been thinking about it over the last, since I saw it, the last couple of weeks now. I've been thinking I need to go do it. And there's a whole bunch of things standing in the way. Like I've got this bandsaw right here, right? This bandsaw, this 9-inch benchtop bandsaw. Not the greatest bandsaw, but good enough. It's for what I've been doing. It's been perfectly fine. I've got a big 3/8 inch 4 TPI blade that's good for like rough sawing, but probably not good for this kind of work. And you should change it. And I've got another blade that's thinner and better for curving and more teeth per inch and blah 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 blah. But you got to put it on. You got to take this one off, tension it, reset all the guides and everything. It's just really kind of a pain. And I was like, I just don't feel like doing that. And that's what's been kind of holding back. I don't really feel like resetting it. But yesterday I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I got some. Instead of basswood, I got a bunch of these huge like remnant timbers of Douglas fir. So let me just do that. I'm just going to try it and play around with it. And if it messes up, if it's terrible, who cares? It's just trying to make sure that I can remember the lessons that he was imparting in the session so that I can like at least try it. And that's what I did. It took me about an hour, actually. It was pretty easy, pretty fast. And I have this. Now, if you watch this morning's live stream, and I talked about this, it was not this color this morning. It was just a natural color, just like the blank, right? And I painted the inside on the morning show, and I painted this afternoon. But as you can see here, this is the top, right? This is the top with the piece that I cut from the top of from this side, and it captures in the box, right? Now this piece, what you're supposed to do when you start off with the blank, you're really supposed to cut the top part off, and that'll give you your top, and then you just kind of figure it out later. But I forgot to do that, and so this piece here, this green part is actually the side piece. How does it go? It goes something like this. Is actually this. Is that right? Something like that. It's actually this piece right here. It's the interior of, maybe it's not that interior. It's one of these interiors, because somehow it fits, right? I think I cut that part away. So it's you can just use whatever pieces you have. And then this of course was all like squarish. So I just kind of like, took this, put it down, traced the line, cut it out, captured it, and then made this box. Now, if you look at Michael Cullen's website, he does something similar to this. It's similar type work, but he uses like carving to create patterns. Now, I didn't do that. This is all just rough sawn. It's totally rough sawn from the bandsaw. And my plan is, and as you can see here, like you can also see, so you also mark out the outside line and you go back and you cut it. But my plan is to, I painted it because I was going to take a sander and sand it down and see what kind of like colorings, not maybe fully sanded, but sand it down so you get a little bit nicer surfacing, but also to like reveal whatever grain will be revealed under the green paint, right? So, Brian's with us. What's going on, Brian? How are you, man? Good to see you. Brian, I got some more stuff for the donations for the firefighters. That's what, 2 weeks from now, is that right? So I don't know if you look him up, Michael Cullen, you can see his style. If you're interested in trying it, it's actually fairly simple to get it, down, and then you can kind of do whatever style you want. You just got to think in terms of like, how do you put the pieces together? Like you cut this out on both sides, and then just glue it together, and then you put the glue on the bottom. I put it right here on the edge, and I just push this bottom piece in, and it captures it and wedges in there, and you're like, oh, totally, not too difficult. So that's what I'm working on now. June 14th. Okay, great. Sunday, June 14th. Got it. And then yesterday I was kind of on a roll. I wanted to do something because I was sitting around. So at the Woodcraft, they have these kits. They have kits for all kinds of stuff. Pans, ice cream scoopers, all kinds of stuff. And they even have knives. And I picked this up from a company called Camillus. And they've got this little knife kit here. All you have to do is you just make the wood. You don't really do anything else. Like it's just fully assembled. And right now, this particular one is on sale for like $12 or something. So a little bit of a flicking action, right? And since I had some leftover remnant koa wood, I was like, oh, let me use the koa. So I put that on here, and on that side, and then this side. Just a little kind of like fun toy to have. Aha, this little 3-inch knife. You can see there's holes in it because I totally did not align the holes correctly. So I was only able to screw in the back hole. This is actually, super glued in here otherwise. But it's fairly simple. You just kind of cut it out and sand it all down, put a finish on it, and you're done. Nice little knife here for the workshop. They actually have a machete on next month's sale. So I was like, ooh, maybe I'll make a machete. So the cigar, a little bit more darker notes as we're getting into it. Like it's not terribly light. Like there's a little bit of heaviness developing. I wouldn't say heavy, but it's definitely a little bit on the throat. Actually, not bad. Like it's not. I was expecting boring and lame and kind of like not so great. It's actually not very boring. It's actually pretty darn good. Like let's get the regular coffee here. So if I was sitting around, in the city, on the sidewalk, at a table, and I was sitting there This would actually be perfectly pleasant. It's not terrible. I was expecting terrible. By no means is it a cigar like any of the other ones we normally smoke. Tatuaje, Roma Craft, Padron. It's not those. But it is actually rather pleasant. I'm going to suspect that. Hold on a second. Ooh, I'm going to suspect that because it's not so heavy, maybe the residual flavor that'll be on the palate later won't be so heavy. Which I think would be a nice change of pace. And I wonder, because it's not so heavy as far as flavor notes, if you were to smoke this in an environment where you got a little bit on your clothes, maybe it won't be so heavy and your clothes won't smell so, you know, smoky. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just a guess. George is asking, do you have a second for tonight? Well, should it come to that, I do. I do. I just happen to have one sitting here on the bench. Cigar I was going to smoke maybe yesterday, but I just decided not to. I haven't smoked since Monday. All right, let's have some coffee. George says this cigar doesn't see 9:30. All right, we'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. I ended up buying a new pen this week. I had to go buy a new pen yesterday. If you remember, I had this tomato pen, a pen called Tomato from Taiwan, and it was fairly cheap. I think when I bought it, it was on sale for like $5 or $6, and it's worked pretty darn well. But unfortunately, the other day it just totally crapped out, and I don't know what happened to it. I think the little nib at the bottom is bent, so it won't push the lead through. So I was like, oh god. And if you look online, the reviews for the tomato pen are really just people just hate it. They're like it's total rubbish, and maybe it is. I'm disappointed that it didn't last. So I went to the Plaza Art Supply in Towson. Because if you want to buy mechanical pens, so you really need to go to the art stores because those guys will have like the nice quality ones. And for like 20, I think it was $21, I picked this one up. This is the Pentel Graph Checker 1000 Graph Gear. And this is the big brand this is the main, like the nicest one they had there. And from a good brand, Pentel is a Japanese pen company. And nice and weighty, a little bit of rubberized knurling right here. So it feels pretty good in the hand. And the interesting thing, it's retractable. You press it forward and the nib comes out, and then you close it here, and it closes. Huh? Ah, 0.5 millimeter, which is the same size that I had. Because I've got a whole bunch of the leads, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to get buy more leads. Plus, I like the 5.5 millimeter size. for this pencil, so you get nice and fine detail as you're, laying out things. Not good on wood because it just doesn't have the robustness. But if you're writing things on paper, it's actually quite a nice point. The other one that I have is a little bit larger, not the but this other Pica pencil that I have is larger. Works better on like rough surfaces, but is just not fine enough for some of the work that I like to do. But this so far, I haven't really used it much. I just got it yesterday, so I'm hoping that it will work well. I'm using it tonight to write our notes, and it seems to do pretty well. But I got these sniffles. I think if I got my vest, vest up here, I think we might have a little bit of insulation. Since I've been taking drugs, I've been feeling a lot colder this past year. Like, gosh, when I used to like be sweaty, like I'm all like cold. But it's kind of interesting. Like I took my nieces to the mall on Sunday, and at the Towson Mall, for whatever reason, a lot of the up escalators are not working, which is a just distressing situation for me. But my nieces, they're like, okay, we're just gonna walk. We're gonna walk. So I'm the uncle, so I can't be all like, oh, I'm gonna go find the escalator, the elevator. So I follow along, right? Now, in the old days, climbing up escalators would have been quite a task. Like I would have been like sweaty and panty. I did 2 elevators and I didn't even break a sweat. I was like, oh my gosh, how is that even possible? I am 2/3 the man I used to be. Man, I would be all sweaty and panty, but now it was like, oh. I went up there. I went up those escalators, and I wasn't running up them. Just going at a steady pace, not a fast pace, just a steady pace, and a pace not falling behind the girls. And I was like, all right. The girls are not young. They're young enough. They're like 25 and 27. So I'm like, right, not bad. I think like let's talk about the body. The body is on the lighter side, right? The body is lighter, not very heavy. Flavor is also lighter. How I would describe these would be good. Like I think good. So good is 7, but I don't know. I think 7 would be a little bit. So maybe 7.25. So while we're not getting, high performance in flavor, while we're not getting tremendously heavy body, I can't. I mean, it's a good cigar. It's much more enjoyable than I was expecting. Like it's not, and in many ways, it's not actually disappointing. It's got nice. It's delivering on a lot of things that you might find enjoyable. There's good smoke production. There's good quality of construction. The draw is good, and it has the right amount of resistance to it. It gives you some flavor, like a tobacco. It's more of a general light tobacco flavor. But it's certainly not the experience that other cigars would be giving you. It's not taking you on a journey. This is more like an accompaniment, like it's coming along with you on your journey, not leading you on a journey, right? I think that's probably the best way to, kind of summarize this cigar at the moment. So how are you guys' cigars coming along? Let me know. I'm interested to know. Like, I'm puffing on it pretty much. So, and I'm enjoying overall the experience. And I paid full retail price for this. Now, one of the things maybe we should think about is like bang for your buck. Right, let's see here. I'm going to put this in Macanudo Cafe Duke Windsor. Let's see what the JR Cigar has a listing for it. So right around $10 for the cigar, which is not a little bit of money, but it's not a crazy amount of money. If it was $15 to $18, I'd be like, whoa, what's going on here? These people are crazy. Tony says he powered through the Tatuaje and now has moved on to the Blackett S84 Shade to Black Toro. Shade to Black Toro. Nice, nice. Let us know how that turns out for you. And Devin says, mine kind of tastes like a natural. You mean like a natural coffee? So kind of fruity? At least that's what comes to mind initially. So this Duke of Windsor, what does it say? The Duke of Windsor, J.R. Cigars has a little bit more of a background on this cigar. It says, Duke of Windsor was a title bestowed upon Prince Edward of England in 1937. Oh. Many years later, Macanudo honored his name in the form of a famous Toro-sized cigar. Oh, Toro, not Bellicoso. Today, the unsurpassed quality and flavor of the Macanudo Duke of Windsor make good Prince proud in boxes of 25. So box of 25 from JR's is $262. Well, so right, just over $10, which puts it at a price point where, like, if this is the 5, 6, 7, maybe $8 range, it'd be kind of like a no-brainer. Like, you just buy it because you want someone to accompany you when you're kind of like doing something. You don't necessarily want to have a big, heavy cigar. Like, you don't want to smoke. Like, you're not in the mood for the Neanderthal, right? That requires a lot of attention. This is a cigar that doesn't necessarily require attention. It's just kind of a pleasant companion on your journey. But $10 seems like a bit much. Like, compared to, you could go with something like a factory smoke from Drew Estate, but after you smoke 3 or 4 or 5 of those, you kind of like start to hate your life because you're just like, it's got a $3 to $5 price point, and that's a nice thing. But after a while, those flavors just don't hold up. They're just like, this one, actually very nicely constructed. The construction, everything is very nice. Very well done. Devin says, those kind of distinct notes, not subtle, processed in a way to make those notes. When I read that and I say, those kind of distinct notes, not subtle, processed in a way to make those notes, reminds me of someone. It's creamy, slight fruit, but the way those notes appear in a natural. Oh, okay, gotcha. Understood. Yeah, not too heavy. Just pleasant, overall pleasant. Now, how does it go with our 300 milligram caffeine? Oh, you know what? As it's getting cooler, as it's getting warmer, sitting here on the bench, I think it's getting worse. Not that it's getting dirty or anything, the coffee quality, but just that it's like the sweetness is like, Devin says, tremendous cigar. You wouldn't believe. Oh, it is tremendous. Okay. I wasn't sure if you were like, enjoying it or not yet. All right, but tremendous. That says a lot. That says a lot. Yeah, I think George is right. There's no way we're gonna get. Man, I would be surprised if we get to 920. I mean, I think I'm puffing on this pretty much as hard as I have been with like the Intemperance Revengeance, which it is as a sensual experience, smoking experience. It is very nice. It is very enjoyable. It just doesn't have those deep notes that a lot of the other cigars have. But it's very a nice smoking cigar, which I think is kind of surprising and interesting. But also, perhaps context is king, right? Like, I'm coming to this cigar not expecting much of anything. I'm expecting like total disaster. I'm expecting disappointment. I'm expecting like just off flavors. And I don't know why I think that, because Macanudo is a very long-standing reputable company that has been known to make quality cigars, just very light cigars. You know, so I'm not coming to this cigar with a lot of expectation. I mean, I'm coming it with a lot of like, you know, my expectations are for horrid, but I'm pleasantly surprised. But I wonder, like, does my preconceptions color the way that I'm interpreting? Like, am I finding it more enthusiastic than it maybe is? Now, if we look at the scores, I'm still giving it good scores. It's a good cigar. It's not a very good. It's not blowing me away with these characteristics. George asks, is it a lighter pack in terms of, you mean like the way that it's packed in the roll? No, actually the construction quality is excellent. I mean, it's the burn has been, other than that first aberration, like it's been pretty flawless. And I'm pulling on this pretty hard. Like I'm sucking on this all the time. So the way that the draw is happening, the way the resistance to your draw, it's all just excellent. Like there's no way to describe it other than excellent. It just doesn't have a blend that performs in the way that we're used to other cigars performing, right? Like the construction quality is as good as a Padron or any of the other big market brands, the other like super like quality premium brands. It's just a different blend. It's just a lighter, less attention grabbing blend. Like, sometimes you smoke a cigar and you really want to pay attention to it. Like you just gotta pay attention because it's so heavy, it's so full of flavor. It's so much like pop, 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 right? Not necessarily punching flavor, but more like fanfare, fanfare. This, like I said, is just kind of like going along with the ride for you. Like you're the one driving and it's in the passenger seat accompanying you, making you whole, rather than leading the way. Like, you get like a Romacraft Neanderthal, and you gotta you sometimes you gotta concern yourself. Like, did I eat enough? Is my palate ready? Things like that. You concern, like, will you be able to handle it? That intensity. This is not like that. This is not. I don't think you have to worry about the intensity. You just it's just something to enjoy it for the ride. To enjoy the ride. Good smoke production, copious amounts of smoke. Look at the burn. Like look at it's holding together well. I mean, now if we talk about like what people say, like it's not terribly white. So maybe the magnesium in the soil for the wrapper is not as high as other parts of the world, but this would be, I guess it's using Connecticut shades, so this would be kind of the classic Connecticut shade style from the 90s, which this type of cigar was very popular back then, the Connecticut shade type cigar. Like if you went from this to, let's say, the Arturo Fuente Green line, the regular label, you'd notice a difference because there's a lot more flavor. There's a lot more complexity, or a different level of complexity, where this is very light in complexity, very benign, very just kind of like demure in complexity. The Fuente Green label takes it up a little bit more. Then if you move to Tatuaje Brown label, even more. Like then it becomes, or let's say if we went from like the Fuente Green to the old school LGC, La Gloria Cubana, that was even more. And then finally you jump up to like Tatuaje, and it's like, whoa, it's like, right? No, I kind of think like, and I'm thinking of this as a progression from the 90s, right? Through the 90s. So you got the LGCs, you got the Tatuajes coming out in the early 2000s, and then somewhere along there is the Padron. The Padron is like, kind of like this, without the heavy intensity of the Tatuaje, with some of the complexity of the LGC, but a lot more smoothness. So I would say that we would have like the Macanudo, Fuente Green Label, LGC, and then now we're kind of break away to equal performances, right? So you've got Tatuaje with like lots of the bolder notes, and then and the beautiful beautiful smoking, and then you've got like the Padron, not as adventurous but still beautiful, right? I think that's kind of maybe where in the pantheon this cigar resides. But construction-wise, it's beautiful. Like really, really delightfully surprising. I'm actually really enjoying this. Like I can sit here and the smoke is kind of blowing around me, and it's light enough. Like how sometimes you puff and the smoke lingers, and you just kind of have to like move away from it because it's pretty intense. This is not like that. You can just sit there. And it's very mild, very pleasant. Like I said, it's a good companion. Whereas a lot of cigars that I like or tend to go for are a lot more adventurous, right? Like if we think of it in terms of women, right? Like a lot of the cigars that I enjoy are like one of my ex-girlfriends, right? Just kind of wild and crazy. Like she demands your attention. You're going to go on an adventure. You're going to be almost out of control. Bud remembers this girl. But this is more like that steady girl, right? The one that's like, she's not taking you on a crazy adventure, but she's there, constant and solid. Now, if you smoked only these in succession over some time, you probably might get a little bit bored, a little bit thinking about the ex-girlfriend that was kind of crazy. Like, maybe I'd like to go back there. Maybe I still need a little bit of that every once in a while. So we're gonna go through the second and third. Second third as good as the first, but still the same performance. 725, 725 for body and flavor. Now that we're in the third, getting closer to the end, a little bit more of the bitterness or the tar is building up, so I feel a little bit more heaviness on the palate with those last two puffs. It's also feeling a little bit soft now. Right? The rest, the cigar for the whole time has been relatively solid, but right now the construction feels a little bit soft. I don't know what it is about that, but it's feeling a little bit soft. I'm going to peel the band off if I can. Yeah, you can see there's a little bit of cracking with the wrapper. I think it's just not that it's cracking necessarily, but I think it's just because it's feeling like it feels super like hollow right here, right where my fingers are. Like now we're starting to get a little bit of a downturn, I think. We'll see. Like I feel like it's got a little more bitters coming out, a little bit less enjoyment, a little less. It's getting more rough, less smooth. Feels like there's a hollow here. So this is right now. I'm thinking that maybe if I was just an opportunist kind of smoker, a true hedonist, where I'm only there for the best part of the cigar. This is where I would think. This is where I'm thinking in my mind that I would like to put it down and be like done with it. Be able to say, I've enjoyed the first two thirds. They've been very nice and very enjoyable, and now I'm starting to get some characters that are not pleasant, not enjoyable. And I think if I was just a hedonist, I would put it down now and remember just the good parts. But we got to see the whole thing. So we're going to see our way through. See if it, see if that's just an aberration, just a small bit. Maybe we're pulling too much on the cigar. It needs to like slow down and let it breathe. We're gonna see. We're gonna see. But definitely a little more harshness, a little more bitterness coming out of it. Let's wait a few extra moments. So what do you guys got going on this weekend? Anything interesting this weekend? Tomorrow I got to head up to Elkton. One of our family friends' father passed away last weekend, and so the funeral's tomorrow. So I've got to go up there pretty early in the morning. They're having the viewing is at the church, and it's going to be starting at 9 a.m. to 11, and then mass at 11. And then I don't know if they're going to have internment or not tomorrow. I don't know what the plan is for that. But then there's going to be a reception later that day, in the early afternoon. Which and it's up in Elkton, so that's for me. It's at the border with Delaware. So I'm going to make my way up there early in the morning. Which actually turned out to be quite fortuitous because I didn't think I was going to get up to that part of the area for quite a while, for a couple more weeks. And means I'm going to make a stop. If there's enough time after all the events are over, I'm planning to go by that Hearn Hardwood's place to pick up some more koa. I'm working on this table. I think I've showed you guys this table, and I've reached a point here. I'll show you. I'll show you what I'm working on. I've reached this point with the build. I've got the slab. This is the slab that I'm using. It's going to be like a side table, a live edge side table, and koa it's a wood from Hawaii called acacia koa, and it's wildly expensive, like wildly expensive. If you were to buy this wood straight up, it would cost $45 and up per board foot. This piece of cutoff, this live edge, was actually like a really weird remnant, so it was super cheap when I bought it. But now these pieces here, right, you can see these pieces here. These are This company does a lot of core wood, and they do things like soundboards for instruments. Right, the soundboard is like this. They take these special tone woods and match them. So these are actually book matched, I think. Yeah. So as you can see, these are book matched. So if I wanted to put it together, I could put it together like this and make an instrument with it. And I actually have this because I have a ukulele project I'll be working on at some point this summer. So the last time I bought these. So this is what they do a lot with the koas that they're processing. So they process a lot of koa and they sell the cutoffs for $4 a pound. And that's what these are. These are 12 quarter cutoffs, which would be wildly expensive if you were to buy them. But for $4 a pound, it's quite affordable. So what I was thinking, what I've been planning, what I'm doing, working on is like putting them together. You know, they're all kind of disparate. So you got to try to find the best way to put it together. So I'm going to join them all together and create the base for it here. But as you can see, turns out I didn't have enough. So I need to buy a few more pieces to fill out the entire width here. Then I can make the base. And then on a previous trip, these are the cutoffs that I cut from here. And these are actually the pieces that I used for making the knife. But this piece here, I found this the first time I was there or buying wood. And I thought this would make a really great front leg for it. Maybe like this, like that, or something like that. It's kind of, got this weird like groove there. So I've got that. And that's what so I didn't, I thought I was going to go, I have to go up to Philadelphia on the 12th or the 11th of June. So that's when I was planning to go there. But then turns out I'll be up that way tomorrow. So thanks, Uncle. I appreciate it. Okay, so since we took a moment to slow down a cigar, that bitterness has dissipated a bit, returning better to form. Then what else is happening this weekend? I got to, oh, there's this, if you're any of you are here in Baltimore interested, there's a box making demonstration. This guy released a book. He wrote a book on box making. He's going to be doing a demo at the Woodcraft from like 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday. So I was planning to go check that out. So that should be fairly interesting. All right, let's see this Monster Killer Brew. Oh, man, so brutal. Tony says, as I asked before, are you going to get your book signed? You know that book? If he's got a book, I'll get it signed. Why not? Because he'll be there. It would be kind of fun. Yeah, and evidently the guy that wrote the book, I don't know him, but he's evidently from the area, so he's a local guy. And it's nice to support people from the area. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, if you guys are free, come down. I'll be there. I'm supposed to go to a golf tournament, but I was like, I'm not so much into golf that I have to go to a golf tournament. Even though all my cousins are playing in it, I was like, I'm not going to do that. Like steak dinner, I was like, I don't care about steak lunch. Let me know when it's over. Yeah, and actually, now that I'm puffing on again, it is getting that more bitterness, that harshness is returning. So maybe the last third is not the greatest. First two thirds, pretty good. Last third right now, we're struggling. We're struggling. Now, interestingly enough, I mentioned that there's this, it's kind of soft right here. It's still soft, but actually it has not impacted, well, it has not impacted the draw or smoke production of the cigar. It could be part of what's causing this kind of off flavors to be developed, these bitternesses, harshness, but it's not affected the way that you draw on the cigar, which I kind of expected it would. You know, sometimes when it gets all mushy here, it makes the draw a little bit harder, but that's not happening. There's a little bit of cracking on the wrapper. So how are the cigars coming along? Anything interesting? Disappointments? Devin's already enjoying his tremendous cigar. Tony, how's that new one working out for you? And I'm surprised we haven't seen Steven yet. I'm trying a little bit of experiment this weekend with the YouTube channels. So I've got one channel, the main channel, of course, the Ono Coffee channel. And then I've got a secondary channel called the Ono Tech channel, which I've been doing like woodworking videos. And I created this video that I'm releasing on the main channel, just about making coffee in the shop, here in the garage. And the general theory is that YouTube frowns upon people like releasing the same video, like copying the video onto two different channels. So I changed it up a little bit. And I was curious to see like if I'm going to release them both at the same time on Saturday at 11 a.m. And I'm curious to see like how will YouTube react to them, and also I'm curious to see like will there be a performance difference in the way that they get viewed. Tony says that his cigar is burning great, has good flavor. It's a Nira in Connecticut, so it is on the side, but flavorful. Oh, Nira in Connecticut. It must be a spell check there. Brian says the time chain makes it tough for him to attend the live podcast. Oh, right. That's right, because Arizona does not change times like we do, right? So they go from 2 hours to 3 when we make the jump, right? That does change a lot of things. The extra hours definitely. It's one of the reasons why I haven't changed the time on the morning show at 10 a.m. I've been tempted to change it sometimes, but then I realized that I think, especially since a lot of our viewers on that one are very international in nature, so we have people in Europe and Australia as well as Asia. So very like wide spread of like viewers. So I know for some that would push it like really late into the night. Tony says Nicaragua, and on the milder side, thank you. Yeah, Siri, always having a hard time hearing. That's why I always tend to like, just use my fingers. There was a couple of years where Siri and I didn't talk at all because she was very difficult. And somehow my Siri changed from a female to a male. And now we kind of get along better, I think. I don't really press on Siri too much because, although, how many of you guys are actually using AI in your daily lives? Like I was talking to someone recently who was telling me how they're using AI, and I was like, really? You can do that? It does that for you? I was like, like it was one of them was Brian. He was telling me how like he'll have a meeting and his AI will listen to the entire meeting and then summarize the points. So instead of you trying to figure out what did you talk about for the last 3 hours, you ask the AI, and the AI is like, yeah, this is what we talked about. These are the bullet points, and this is what happened. And you're like, well, can you tell me more about this particular thing? And he's like, yeah, we could tell you this is exactly what breaks it down. I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. And lately I've been reading like when I do Google searches, you see like the Google AI summarizing things. I've been reading those this past week, and I was like, wow, that actually works pretty darn well. Yeah, Brian says he uses it every day. I'm really, I never get to, I haven't really used it. I probably should try using it. Ever since we had that discussion, I've been thinking about it. Like, George says that AI can be great for education. You can create awesome lessons on different reading levels in different languages. Wow, that's amazing. Like the AI is so good now. I don't actually use it, but I know that the channel does. Like the main channel, I've looked at. YouTube finally implemented this thing where they will automatically transcribe your your videos and create your videos and broadcast your videos in a selected language like Hindi or Japanese or Chinese or Spanish. And I've watched some of my videos where it's replaced it. Now it replaces with a different voice than my own, but it would be I can foresee a time when they're going to probably get to a point where they will be able to synthesize my voice in the videos in different languages. That seems kind of interesting. Like, and I watched one the most recent one on the main channel where I'm in Tokyo with one of my friends, Celia, and the AI generates a female voice for her parts, and I was like, wow, not her voice, but a female voice. I was like, wow. And I saw a video today where the video the said it was the live broadcast on CBS back in the 1960s during the Mercury capsule's circumnavigation of the planet. And you look at it, and they're like, "This is what they showed live on television," and it's a third party view of a distant of a third party view of the Mercury capsule floating through space with an astronaut outside, doing a spacewalk. And you look at it, man, it looks terrible. Like it looks like the guy's hanging from a wire, and the cable, the hose that's running from the spacecraft, looks like it's kind of a wire that's kind of dangling, and the bottom, which is the supposed to be the Earth, looks terrible. Like it's just like this circle that looks like. And they say, and it says in the caption that this is the actual broadcast, and maybe it is, and maybe it isn't. I don't know. I don't know how they would put a broadcast camera outside the capsule. So it seems plausible that it was totally faked. And I imagine it's a recreation that CBS created for their broadcast just to give you the flavor of it. But it's interesting to look at those things because you look at it and you look at it from today's point of view and you're like, wow, that looks really terrible. And I saw a video recently where they were breaking down the CGI, the computer graphic images from the movie Air Force One, the Harrison Ford movie, specifically the part where Harrison Ford the president gets off of the plane and the corrupted Secret Service agent is still on the plane and it crashes into the ocean and flips over and all this. And you look at it from today's point of view and it looks terrible. It's just terrible, terrible graphics. And I was watching the guys critiquing it, and he created his own graphics in modern time with modern equipment to make it look realistic. And one of the things that I've noted over the years with CGI is that in the moment, the CGI looks pretty darn good. Like in 1997, that CGI looked pretty good. You knew it was CGI, but it didn't look as bad as it looks now. And I think because we've gone through so forward in technology and realism in CGI that our eyes automatically can see that this older CGI looks terrible. Whereas I think that if we look at like movies like, let's say, the early Star Treks, like the Star Trek, the motion picture, Wrath of Khan, those movies, or let's say like Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi, you see like the Millennium Falcon, you see all these, X-wings on there, they're flying through, and they're computed, they're models. But I think they still look pretty darn good. Like even because it's physical, it's real objects being photographed on film. So it still holds up. Whereas let's say like the Force Awakens, and well, not the Force Awakens, but the prequel trilogies looks it's starting to break now. That 1999 early 2000 era CGI is starting to break down. Craig says Terminator 2 still looks good. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And I wonder, is Terminator 2, I don't think Terminator 2, I'm guessing, I don't think they use too much CGI. I think they use a lot of stop motion still in those movies. And I think the stop motion still looks very good. I don't know. What do you think about that? I'm interested in what you think. This cup that I'm drinking, by the way, I picked this up at the coffee trade show this past last month. This is a double-walled, thermal insulated titanium cup. So it's all titanium, so super lightweight, very nice. I don't know how practical this is. Like, and I realized that it was double walled because I've worked with titanium over the years, especially during my paintball days. We made some parts out of the titanium at my friend's machine shop. And titanium will actually transfer heat very, 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 very rapidly. Like if this was just pure titanium, I don't think it'd be comfortable to hold the hot coffee in. But when I first tried it with hot coffee, it was perfectly fine because it's double walled. I don't know what the practical use of this is. I just thought it was kind of cool. Craig says the metallic cup was CG. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, yeah, right, of course. What's his name? Jason Patrick. Is that right, Jason Patrick? And that still looks good. I haven't seen it in a while. I have to go look it up. But even things like, I think like Hunt for Red October still looks pretty good. Because I think a lot of those use models. When they're using models, like sometimes you see the models, and because of the wave formations, like you can kind of see, especially when they're riding on the surface, it looks kind of weird because dimensionally, proportionally, it's not the same. David asked, "Who makes that cup?" You know what? I don't remember if I got this while I was doing a live stream or if I recorded it for one of the videos. I have to look back. I don't remember who makes this. But when the one that I saw, the display one actually had this like flaky pattern to the titanium. So I really liked that flakiness. I was like, wow, that's really kind of interesting, very like sculptured looking. I was like, and how much? And I asked him how much, like $10 or $20. I was like, what? That's super cheap. I'll buy that. So I bought it, and then they gave me one in the box, and this is what was in the box. I was like, oh man. When I opened it up later that night, I was like, oh man, it doesn't have that pattern. So I got robbed. I got robbed. Baldhead says, Craig says, I remember you. Oh, so I must have done this. I did this on a live stream then. Yeah, if you recall, the one that was on the live stream had a flaky kind of exterior texture. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't remember. I'll have to look. I'll have to look back and see. I'm really supposed to go back and do chapter markings on all those live streams. I did one of them, but I haven't had the time to do the other. I haven't taken the time to do the other ones. Yes, it was like hammered copper. Yeah, it was. I thought it would look really cool. We're still rolling. Can you believe this? Hour 36 in, so we're about just over an hour into the cigar. We're still rolling with it. I think maybe it will last. I can do another 24 minutes with this, right? Maybe not. So those snifflings I was having earlier in the show have more or less dissipated, and I think partially because I'm wearing the fleece. I tell you, these drugs are miracle drugs. You know, I used to think when I was younger, I was like, man, if there's only a way to take pills to like lose weight, then now you can. It's like, wow, it's amazing. The drugs are not pills, but they're injections, right? They're injections. They work pretty darn well. I saw my PCP yesterday, and she was like, "How's it going?" I said, "Are you getting any adverse reactions?" I was like, "No." Like one of my good friends, he would take he was taking Ozempic, and man, he was always telling me every time I take the injection, man, for like a day or so, I feel like terrible. And I was like, really? I was like, man, I tell my PCP, I was like, I feel no reaction to any of these. She's like, if you want, we can go to a higher dose. And I was like, all right, let's go to a higher dose. So we're going to start higher dose soon. Craig says that the Partagas needed a light relight, but is now approaching finger burn. That is the Series D number fours are very usually, they're usually very, very nice. I'm glad to see that yours is turning out well. And Craig says they have oral Ozempic. Oh, they have oral. I kind of like the idea. Well, I don't know if I like it, but I've gotten used to the whole injection thing. Kind of, you don't really feel it. Like I'm still putting it into the fatty areas, so it's like you don't really feel too much. You're a little tiny prick, but it's. But I told my PCP yesterday, like I have this last month, I have not been very good at the eating thing. We've been out a lot, so having a lot of meals out, so I've not had as much salads and lighter meals as I normally have been having for the last year or so. So while I still did lose from the previous time in February, it was very minimal. All right, 20 minutes. I don't think it's going to last. We're definitely way down. Brian wants to know, how is that room temper drink at this point? Let's see. Still sweet. I wonder, though, if I take the ice. Oh, there it is. It's definitely milky. I want to say it improves it, but I don't think it does. holder is better, but I'm not going to rush out and buy any more of these. Plus, I think if I was to drink it all, there's so much sugar in it. Brian says, what if you mix it with some real coffee? All right, we're going to try that too. So we've got it just about half. I imagine that should make it a little bit more palatable. It's still layered though. Better. But I think it's still layered. I don't think it's truly mixed well. Now we are at the point where it should start to burn the fingers, but so far it's not burning. It's actually rather cool. And for a cigar that had, like where it's burning now, where the ash is now, that was where my fingers were saying there was like a void, really soft. I would have expected that when we got to that point, it would have started to unravel, like the wrapper would have started to unravel, but it has not unraveled. So like this construction is excellent. Tony says, well, Animal, he made it 15 minutes longer than you anticipated. Surprisingly. Not terrible. I think we're going to put it down soon. But no unraveling of the wrapper. Like that's really a testament to the quality of the cigar. Okay, now I can't hold on to it anymore. Now there's just no more space. Okay, down. Brian says, I'd rather have a slice of pie than that. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. George says, I'm a little shocked that it went. Me too, man. I'm surprised. I thought that we would be done a while back. Let me grab the other one. And we'll roll into that. All right, so got our other cigar here. We're going to move now into a completely different style of cigar. The Roma Craft Cro-Magnon Aquitaine Mode 5. We'll start that up while we do our evaluation of the Macanudo Duke of Windsor. Ooh, it's a little bit chillier now suddenly. Feel a little bit of breeziness coming through, a little bit cooler. This cigar was gifted to me by Mike Rosales when I was there. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate this. Nice and hard. When you've got these like pointy cigars, how far do you like to cut down? I think right about there is probably good. Hmm? So, so a lot more pronunciation with this already on the initial light up. A little bit heavier, quite a bit heavier. Now let's look over here for the last third of the Duke of Windsor. We've been at 7.25, but we definitely had some performance dip with the last third. But the question is, do we drop it down? Was it compromised enough to go to 6.75 or just to 7? And as I was went to go get the cigar, I was thinking it's more 6.75, but really as I think more about it, maybe it wasn't that much. There was some bitterness, but did it really dip down that hard? Maybe not. Maybe just 7. Now, burn and draw, like I said, burn and draw was excellent, 9. I mean, just really, really good. Consistency, I think it held up very well. So I'm going to say consistency was 8. And then overall, I'm going to say 7.5. So good and a half. Which gives us a total score of 77.25 on our score sheet. So 75.25. So not bad. Like I said, the Duke of Windsor, oh, that's definitely a lot more power. Um, yeah, like I said before, the Duke of Windsor was a good cigar, a good companion, much better than I was expecting. Yeah, 75.25. I think that's good. That's a good position for now. Put that aside now. Oh, this is definitely a total departure. Like it's heavy, it's heady, robust. Maybe after smoking the Duke of Windsor, maybe this is too far a jump. Like perhaps the better move would to go from a Duke of Windsor to something not as drastic, right? Like this, like if Duke of Windsor's here as far as strength and heaviness, like this is way up here, right? Like this is uh, much more robust, maybe overpowering from coming from that. Perhaps the better jump would have been to like the LGC level rather than going into Tatuai and above. Tony says that an intemperance EC might have been the move. That might have been to go with the Ecuador and Connecticut from the Connecticut shade. Like these, I think that these aquitanes, like compared to the Cro-Magnons, the regular Cro-Magnon, like this is, I think these are definitely, to me, stronger, more robust than the regular Cro-Magnons. Whew. Actually, I feel a little bit like light in the head. So this mixture, now we're getting more into the mix. Much more palatable that way. The sweetness has been toned down. Monster Killer Brew triple shot. 300 milligrams of caffeine. I don't know how you'd feel after drinking this. Like, is that a good thing to drink this? Let's do a little mixing again. George says that this, I applaud this move to Roma. The sugar in the coffee will help you. Oh, I hope so. I'm going to need it. But it's a nice smoke, you know. It is a nice smoke. Although, you know, I don't know if I'm feeling the complexity on the palate as much as I would have expected. And I don't know if that's because maybe the 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 the, the Macanudo occluded that. I'm not sure. I feel like I want to sneeze, but excuse me. Nice. I think though the weight, like this cigar, the weightier. Like right now, I mean, whenever I do this live stream, I'm always sitting on a stool. Typically, like when we're in here, the weightiness of this Aquitaine makes me feel like I would prefer to be sitting in like a nice, comfortable chair, sitting back so that your back is supported, so that you can kind of relax a little bit more. Because you know, as you're standing there, as you're sitting like in a stool like this, you know, you're using a lot of your torso to hold yourself up. Whereas if you're in a nice chair, you just kind of like melt into it a little bit and just let the slate or let the chair kind of support you, so you can let yourself go and succumb to the heaviness of the cigar. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, that I was thinking about going to New York City for that Build Expo, and I wanted to go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art because I called a friend of mine. She's a professor of Islamic Studies at the University of Kentucky, or University of Western Kentucky, and she's someone I've been friends with since we were in college. Like so, and she's written a lot of books on Islam. And I saw this guy at the Fine Woodworking Expo where he does these inlay type of work where he does these cabinets, and he did this one cabinet that he called arabesque, and he does this really interesting inlay work that I'm really kind of fascinated to try um, copying. And I was thinking about my idea is still very like raw and uninformed, but I was thinking like a cabinet to hold coffee making accessories, coffee making apparatus. But I was thinking about if I tailored one that was more towards the Gaho Arabia, which is the Saudi style of making coffee, the Arabic style of making coffee. I wanted to do this cabinetry that has inlays of like Islamic type of art, and I thought that would be kind of interesting. But I know nothing about Islamic art, right? So, so this guy Tim Coleman is the guy that does this inlay work, and he uses a bandsaw. He uses actually a scroll saw to do this work, and it's really he did this cabinet called Arabesque. And if you look him up, Timothy Coleman, Coleman, really kind of interesting. The way he does these inlays, he takes the same woods and he creates these inlays where, let's say the one wood grain is running like this and the inlays are running like this. So it's really a subtle kind of thing. And he just used shapes because he doesn't understand Arabic, and I don't understand Arabic, but I figured I've got a lot of connections, so I can figure out maybe I can figure out how to create designs that are kind of like Arabic calligraphy, maybe using actual Arabic calligraphy to create the patterns in the facings. So I called her up. I was like, "Hey, what do you know about this Arabic calligraphy?" She's like, "Well, she's like, well, that's not my specialty, but I can point you in the right direction." I was like, "Good, put me in the right direction," because there are these guys that do this Arabic calligraphy, right? And they're very dedicated to the understanding of the language as well as the style of doing it. There's this one guy that I mentioned in the mocha coffee video from Tokyo where this guy Koichi Honda, he's one of the more he's in Japan, he's like the probably the most renowned Japanese Arabic calligrapher. And the way that Islamic artists do the language, they use like the Arabic script, but they do it in a very particular way or very stylistic way to make it flow and to make it very artistic, but also to communicate whatever they're communicating. I don't really understand what they're communicating. But I'm thinking, and so she was like, there's a whole bunch of like examples of Islamic art that the Met has. And I was like, oh, the Met? I was like, oh, okay, maybe I need to go check that out. Brian asked, did you get a chance to watch that video I sent you on? You know what? I'm sorry, I have not. I totally have forgotten about that. I will look it up after we're done and have a look at that. But I was thinking about this style because I think there's might be interesting to do not just like to expand on that. Let's say there's a version you do one that's for like Gaho Arabia. Then you could do one for Turkish style coffee, and you would. And I'm thinking that the implements that you're using to create these different styles of coffee making are different, right? So Arabic Gaho Arabia uses like what they call the della, which is this gooseneck or this pelican beaked pot and a certain way of doing it. Whereas Turkish style coffee is using the chesve, the thing you see in the sand where you boil the coffee in the container. And that would require a whole different apparatus and a whole different way of approaching it. And then I was, then to grow on that, maybe like a cabinet station to do like pour over style coffee, like Western style coffees, or even espresso, and building stuff around that. I was just kind of like thinking about like maybe how can we work on something like that. So that's maybe something that over the next year or 2 years. But it'll be about getting skills up to create like these. If you look at Till Coleman's work, like it's very like, I mean, he's been doing it for decades, so he's much more advanced. He's got greater finesse. He's got greater command over his craft. So he makes amazing work. Like his arabesque cabinet, which is just a cabinet that has these designs on it. It's just cubbies on the inside. But he sold that for $30,000. I was like, holy crap! Not that I'm going to sell for $30,000, but I was like, wow. All right, so that's kind of what I've been thinking about this past week. This weekend, I'm going to be, like I said, I'm going to be hitting that box making demo at the Woodcraft here in Timonium. So if you have the time, 10 to 2 on Saturday, come down. I'll be there. And yeah, I guess that's going to be it for this week. Thanks again for hanging out on the Thursday night hang. Good to see all of you. We'll be back again next week with another episode of the Coffee Q&A. And looks like we're going to be doing something right around the 19th or so for the 250th anniversary, 250th episode, which is only 10 episodes away now. So yeah. So that's it pretty much for this week. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out with me. Good to see all of you. I always appreciate it. And I'll be back again next week. So until then, hope you have a great week and see you next time.